So, hello, here we are again. In the last episode, we left you on a cliffhanger. Yes, wasn't it? The thing was that we stopped somewhere after the first year and decided that we have had enough of the first episode. So, it's right to continue from where we started and to...
You mean where we stopped?
No. We were just starting then. If you remember, this was the time when we were somewhere around 10,000 subscribers.
Yep.
So 30 times less than what we have today. Now, let's roll the intro and then continue where we stopped or started. So, let's recap. The thing that we finished last year with was the whole John Romero and the things that we did regarding gaming. And then we, for some reason or the other, switched to basically retro computing or computing. Okay, the reasons were completely known to us because we were starting a new semester and we were preparing some curriculum materials, and it happened to be 6502 assembly. So I did a couple of assembly and general 6502 instruction videos. Also,
a couple of.
From what? Yes.
You called it a couple
and
of.
Also, yes, and from also from what I see, I had an entirely different hairstyle then. But then what happened is that we were trying to also think about some things that are still bothering me right now. So let's try and see after what we did with the 6002, or in the same time with the 6002, we were also talking about Red Hat, and we were talking about open and closed source.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you remember, that was the time when nobody knew what is going to happen next with the Ansible and what was going to happen next with the open source projects that Red Hat was handling. Now we can safely say that for the time being, nothing happened.
Mm-hmm. With the benefit of hindsight and time.
Yes, and the other thing is that so much nothing happened that actually nothing continued to happen. It seems that Red Hat completely forgot about the whole brouhaha.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we did too.
Yes, and this is one of those amazing things when you have a hindsight of 1 year being passing, because you can see that what happened is that basically nobody cared. Red Hat got its subscriptions. Red Hat killed CentOS the way it was. CentOS still is partly functional. I wouldn't call it completely functional, but let's say partly functional when you need to test something. Rocky Linux is stable if you need to do something. And I think that this was a net loss for Red Hat when it comes to gaining some foothold in the market, because they didn't get those customers that they were yearning for. And I don't think that this was a wise decision, but on the other hand, there were no consequences for the open source community as such.
Is there a specific reason why you're skipping talking about those 6 hours of 6502 and 4 hours of ARM?
No, I want to go back to that.
Okay.
But I want to go through those things that I think were important, and I just want to touch on them, but I don't want to dwell too much on them.
Okay.
Because we also did the working hours in the IT. We did the random Windows rants about rebooting. We did the wasting the time of other people. We didn't
fake it till you make it. Burnout systems.
Yes. Also, we mentioned monoliths and containers because the app modernization and the idea of containerization was pretty important when it came to 2023. And after that, as you said, I did 602, and I think that this was fun. I must say that from my perspective, learning or relearning a little bit of assembly is always fun. I compare it when I'm talking about the students, when I'm talking about learning assembly. It's not only the assembly. I compare it to Sudoku. I think that from my perspective, the relationship between assembly and computer science is the same as Sudoku to mathematics.
Okay.
Because assembly is not only something fundamental that gives you an opportunity to learn how the assembly actually work or how processors work. Also, it is something to just train your mind in a way of thinking that is both simple and fundamental.
You know what's my primary problem with the assembly part of the story that we do? I'm not talking about the episodes. I'm talking about the computer architecture course that we do, for which we produced those 10 episodes or so. It's the fact that it seems that we either aren't delivering the message clearly or our students don't understand it, which is that we are not teaching them to program assembly at all. We are teaching them how CPU and memory work. That's it. And we are just using the assembly as a means to an end, to kind of try to explain to them how that works in a little bit lower level than what they're used to.
I think that the thing is about assembly is that you need to understand the idea, not only the framework of the CPUs, but also the idea of the CPUs. And you need to understand that there is only a couple of ways to actually understand how a CPU looks like. One is to try to draw it out on the paper. I think this is the probably the most useless one, because you're not going to get too many insights into the CPU itself by understanding only the circuits. The other way is to try to run something on the CPU, and you can theoretically do something on the CPU in something like C, or I don't know, BASIC for 602 or whatever. But then you are dealing with compilers and cross-compiling and so on and so on. And I think that this is going to cloud your idea of what you're actually doing. So I regard assembly as such, when it comes to, especially when it comes to simpler CPUs, as just a way to describe what can be done and how it can be done in the CPU itself.
Do you remember one of the common, let's say, feedback that we got from our students, and this might be a little bit of a sore topic we shouldn't discuss too much, but still we have to mention it. One of the most common things that they complain about is, yeah, that's all cool, we are doing some assembly here, but we have ARM, we have many registers, why don't you let us use those?
Yes, this is the thing that, and I don't think that this is not a valid argument.
No, me neither.
You can introduce assembly on Intel, or you can introduce assembly on ARM, and I'm completely for it. But the thing is that the relationship between the assembly that we are trying to teach people, so 602.1, and the assembly for example, Intel or ARM, is like trying to teach you how to do subtraction, addition, and multiplication, and then instead of doing it, teaching you in integrals. So integral calculus is something that you can actually show people, but it is not something that they should start with.
Yeah.
So, and I think that the same thing is valid here as an argument, because people who don't know neither addition nor integral calculus are the same people who don't understand the difference between assembly in 602 and the Intel architecture. And I think this is the thing that I can accept it as an argument, but I don't see that the other side can win. Because you cannot argue if you have no and by no I mean absolutely no foothold in the architecture itself. So we can argue on how the architecture works. We can argue on how the architecture looks like. We can argue on is this assembly or is the version of the assembly that we are learning better or worse. But when it comes to comparing assembly from something like ARM for something with 602, I don't think there is any contest to say that 602 should be the first assembly that you learn.
Yeah, agreed. Not only that, we usually, and that's the reason why I structured that course that way. Later on, we try to show them how more advanced CPUs work. And there are a lot of episodes about this, actually, that we've did in the past 12 months. We discussed a lot of stuff related to Intel architectures and whatnot. And in some of the lectures, we tell them exactly those stories. We not necessarily to the same depth, because there is no time. You cannot spend 12 hours of lectures or 20 discussing the 30 different generations of CPUs. It's just not feasible. But when we start talking about stuff like, out of order execution, speculative execution, whatnot, this is where more advanced CPUs are valuable. This is where there's a lot of additional material that can explain that. This is also the place in which we can use some of the Intel's materials a little bit better. And this is also the place where all of that kind of comes together when you are dealing with all of the lunacy that the complexity of those chips is. Because they are way too complex, as you said, to try to draw them in any meaningful way. It's just not doable. And it's not a discussion to be had at all. I personally...
I think that there is a discussion there. But I think that the problem is that the other side does not exist.
Yeah. Agreed.
You could discuss if actually you wanted to discuss something. I would say that if I needed to do this, I could probably make a point about not learning 602 but learning Z80.
Mm-hmm.
Because it would be probably a better way to learn assembly. But also, since when we were discussing the course itself, we were thinking about which assembly to use. I think that the 602 offers much simpler interface, because Z80 is much more involved when it comes to actual assembly. And it requires you to understand not only the context, but also the ways of dealing with context and so on and so on. And this is something that 602 is, by its simplicity, it's much better at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, stepping stones, as you would say.
Yes.
Okay, after that we did a couple of less relevant episodes about some of the, forgotten hardware and whatnot, software. We did a couple of those episodes just for fun. And then I think we started something that became kind of a theme of the year 2024 in a sense, which is we started discussing various topics in multiple episodes, sometimes a lot of episodes. We started with the Unix, and then went to OS2, a couple of episodes as well. And then we started probably the biggest series of videos that we did, which was about all of the Intel CPUs from first generation onwards. In between those, we did a couple of remaining ARM and 6502 episodes, but let's say that we discussed this already, so not necessarily something that we need to revisit. I know that I was the primary driver of doing these Intel episodes, and they might not be for everybody, because we discussed CPU generations in bulks, let's say 3 or 4 generations per video, and we made a whole bunch of those episodes. I think something like 6 or 7 episodes for only about Intel, and all of those episodes are also quite long, hour plus, 6 hours, 6.5 hours of, let's call it kind of education, and more about, let's say, more revisiting of our, let's say, x86 history as well, because our x86 history started with Intel. That's it. There was no other place to be at the beginning of the story, at least in our locality. But afterwards, now looking back on this, I think we did a heck of a job, describing all of these different generations, differences between them, the technological advancements that were made. A lot of them are still being made. So in the future, we can do another episode that just continues that story, etc.
Yes, but I wanted to interject a little bit because
Yeah.
I also did a little bit of I would say thinking about what we did with Intel, and I must say that since we did those episodes and since we were talking about both the Intel and ARM and all the architectures and everything else, I have become something of agnostic when it comes to architectures. I stopped caring basically.
It's a
I
perfect
have
time
seen
for
what
that.
Yes, because the thing is that Intel is right now in a place where it is. I don't think that it is a good place, and I don't think that they are going to be quickly recovering from it.
Okay.
Because what they did is they changed the basically the strategy and the idea of what they are trying to do while they were actually restructuring.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that they are in a bad place when it comes to everything that they invested into trying to do their own in-house manufacturing. They heavily invested in the redoing parts of the microcode and parts of the design of the processor themselves. So I think that right now Intel has its own problems. AMD is strangely not taking that much flack.
Mm-hmm.
Although they are more and more in a pretty similar position, because I don't see that many advancements when it comes to AMD. They had a brief flash 2 or 3 years ago when they introduced the Series 3 AMD, so the Series 3000, or even better when they introduced the 1000 series, so when they introduced the new architecture.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, I haven't seen much from their side.
I disagree.
No, I don't think that we have seen much that could be considered evolutionary.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great evolution. We can say that. I think that their trajectory is right now better than the Intel's, because if nothing else, they are not spending and wasting money on re-imaging. Should they or should they not do the manufacturing?
Mm-hmm.
So they saved a couple of billions of dollars there, and you take a couple of billions here, a couple of billions there, and then it comes to a real saving. So it makes sense from their perspective. But I think that what made me, I would say, not only agnostic but also lazy when it comes to architectures is the way the ARM is handling the whole business.
Okay.
Because what is happening right now is that ARM seems to just wait for somebody to launch the architecture on the market. Microsoft has prepared everything. ARM is right now suing for some reason suing Qualcomm.
No, that lawsuit is done.
No, but they started suing Qualcomm, and this wasted a couple of months of development and a couple of months of what's going to happen next. So I was expecting the ARM to come to the market much earlier. I was expecting the Windows on ARM to be a thing that is going to be, if not dominating, but rapidly gaining market share right now.
I was of the same opinion, but the market share reports that I've seen in the past couple of months do not bear that out. And I'm actually surprised as to why. Hence the reason why one of the forthcoming episodes is going to be my, I mentioned this a couple of times, I do have the Snapdragon laptop, so I do want to create an episode about this one, but I wanted to do it like in a long-term fashion, not, oh yeah, I have a new laptop, I've spent 2 hours with it, I know everything about it, because I don't. Now I've been using it for basically 6 months. It's going to be in a couple of days, 6 months. Now I can tell you a lot of ins and outs of that. But more to the point, the AMD part of the story with 3D cache and stuff that they did there basically points to the direction of where Intel and AMD are going, which is exactly the same direction where Apple went with their M chips, which is exactly where the industry is going and should be going, which is integrated memory on the chip. But I think that we could produce a series of episodes as to explain why that's so incredibly important. And I've spent the better part of the past couple of days, without actually telling you, reviewing a whole bunch of papers for Springer journals that have underlying topics rooted in that latency, the bandwidth of some solutions and whatnot, not necessarily only on the CPU level, but also on higher levels in software. These stories are becoming much more and more prevalent, and I can see that in everywhere, not only in some kind of scientific environment. I can see that that discussion spreading rapidly across even popular magazines and whatnot, as I buy them every day, and more topics are covering that. So we're kind of gearing for the next, if you want to call it a revolution or evolution, I don't care, which is going to be that x86 is going to happen with the integrated memory as well. Parallel to that, one other thing happened, and it's a good thing that we didn't force doing the episode, although we discussed it heavily, x86 versus x86S, if you remember.
Yes.
Yeah, so x86S is dead. That's been buried, and Intel and AMD came to the table a couple of weeks ago, and they decided to kind of partner up. Might have something to do with ARM and Apple and some others that are growing stronger in the market, to try to finally do something among, let's say, along the lines of what x86S instruction set should have done. So get rid of all I don't know, 8-bit, 16-bit, whatever instructions, because they are not necessary anymore. And for the most part, if somebody needs to run some kind of a 16-bit software, they can. The message is it's time. You can just run that on older piece of hardware, which I find to be reasonable.
Or you can virtualize and emulate whatever.
It depends. It's heavily dependent on solution. Another episode is lurking in the background there. We need to get into that as well. But generally speaking, I was expecting, just like you, for the Windows on ARM with the Snapdragon and whatnot, I was really thinking that that it's going to capture the market much faster, which didn't happen for a variety of reasons, which we can discuss in a upcoming episode.
I'm going to go for and just quickly do my own, let's say, it's not a review, my own thoughts on AMD and Intel designing the new architecture and doing a joint effort on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this is probably one of those rare occasions where actually Intel has learned the lesson from what happened last time. Because if you remember, the last time Intel came up with its own solution, AMD came with its own solution, and then AMD won. And I think that taking into account that AMD actually created a better solution, although this solution didn't help them too much to become a market leader, means that Intel is now prepared to talk to the other guy in order to stop the third guy from gaining market.
Which is crazy. If you think about it, that hasn't happened since basically early 90s or end of the 80s, when they had multiple suppliers for x86 chips for obvious US reasons.
Yes, but the thing is that I think it's better the enemy you know than the enemy you don't know.
I think they should collaborate. That's absolutely not a discussion from my side.
And the thing when what you were talking about, Cydix and everybody else were copying and creating
IBM,
Vias and so on.
Transmeta.
Transmeta and okay, Transmeta was different because when we're dealing with the different other vendors, Transmeta tried to do something else, and I think that Transmeta was one idea that could reappear.
Okay.
Because the Transmeta's idea of running a code on the processor and emulating parts of the code in the processors is something that ARM is right now doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you remember, they have the compatibility layer where they are able to partly run ARM code and then partly emulate Intel code or x86 code. In order to speed things up, so they don't do full emulation, they are running native code in parts of the applications. But on the other hand, the thing that actually, as I said, the thing that actually is strange to me is why is ARM still not trying to come to the market in full force. Why are they being so slow?
Mm-hmm.
It could be that they are waiting for something that we don't know about, because the theory of conspiracy theories abound, or not conspiracy theories, but actually realistic approach, is that I wouldn't be too much, I wouldn't be surprised too much that if there was some money involved with Intel and Microsoft, so that Microsoft cannot market architecture other than Intel right now.
Might be some leftover.
I would do.
Yeah, maybe leftover contracts that need to be obeyed. But I think that there's another problem, which is probably technical reason why this didn't happen, and that's ARM's incredible market fragmentation. They have way too many products for way too many different vertical and horizontal markets. It's going to take a little bit of time, and having the technology aspect of it in mind with the Snapdragon and Snapdragon Elites. Technology is there, so they just need to, I don't know, maybe make a more coherent strategy and close down some pipes where it's leaking, because they are not as good on all topics in terms of technology.
But they're pretty. I would go with they're pretty good at most of the markets. So I don't think that this is the point. I think that most of the things that are happening on the PC market, and I'm now strictly talking about the Intel's share of the PC market, because we all know that ARM is heavily represented by Apple, because nobody can say that Apple's share is now negligible. It is not. And I think that everybody who is anybody in this industry has tried or has either a M1, M2, or M3 or M4 processor somewhere at home, simply because they first wanted to see how it works, and also for the reasons that we mentioned when we were reviewing and talking about the Apple's M4s, M3s, M1s, and so on. The battery life is completely insane when it comes to ARM. And I think this is one of those things where it actually makes sense to have a separate laptop in your backpack that is going to be an Apple. There's going to be a cheap Apple that can do, that can basically run circles around any Intel laptop.
Just like you're trying to do.
But it's not that I'm trying to do it. It's that it has been a year, and I must say that I haven't regretted it.
Okay.
Now I'm packing. I have two laptops, one Intel, one Apple M1 Air, and I think that for everyday jobs, Apple is much easier to work with when it comes to hardware and when it comes to battery and everything else, ease of use. But okay, the downside is having to use macOS.
Why is that the downside?
I don't think that macOS has changed enough to be a modern operating system. I think my feeling when I'm dealing with macOS is that they are extremely slow and lagging behind what is happening in the Windows side.
Please do not tell me that you still consider Windows 11 to be the best OS on the market.
No, but I don't think that they are the best OS on the market. But I see what the things that are happening in the OS world, and I see the some of the things that Windows 11 are doing are actually making sense much more than what is happening in the macOS.
Okay.
Okay, let's ignore the idiocy of the start menu and
recall.
Recall. We need to mention recall. Yes.
Recall.
The recall, the redundancy of the recall, and so on. But the thing is that some of the things that Apple has done are simply, I don't understand them. As you know, and as we were talking in the last episode, I am into Apple's architecture and into Apple's ecosystem. The AI, so the Apple Intelligence, the backronym that Apple is trying to push on people, it's outdated. The way that AI is implemented in the Apple's world right now is completely outdated.
It doesn't work for the most part.
Sorry?
It doesn't work for the most part.
No, it's not that it doesn't work. It's that it's so clumsy to use that it doesn't matter if it works or not. For example, if I want to ask something from ChatGPT,
Mm-hmm.
I basically need to do hearsay. I need to ask Siri to pass the message to ChatGPT to ask something. And where is the ease of use there? If I have a ChatGPT application, I just open the application, that's it. Why should I ask one application to talk to another application? Okay, first, the idea of asking an application to talk to another application.
We like that.
Why are we playing telephone on the application market?
Because it's fun, obviously.
So this is one of those things. The second one is I'm all for AI, you know that,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't understand why the AI should be in everything. If we are implementing AI, okay, let's implement it in the way it should be implemented. So on the operating system level, so that the AI can do whatever it needs to do. But the idea of having separate modules that are talking to each other and still not being able to talk to the operating system because of security, which is fine probably, but why? So I don't think that the implementation of what is happening right now in the macOS is good. I think that when comparing Windows Recall and what Apple did with the Apple Intelligence, actually Windows Recall makes much more sense.
You're cursing now.
No, but the idea is this. My message is, if I want to implement something that's going to be AI, let's do it all the way. So let's implement AI inside the operating system. Let's call it like it is. So actually a spying technology or complete control over your operating system. You're putting it into somebody else's hands, but let's implement it the way it should be implemented. Implement it halfway through. So creating modules that can and cannot talk to parts of the system, so it can be used in some of the applications in some ways when you're doing some things, but not the. So why? Either you implement all the way, or you just say, okay, I'm not willing to implement the AI in my operating system. It is not something that should be implemented in the operating system.
As we discussed in the previous episodes, we are going to have to stop with rants. No, obviously not. You are well energized for more rants. I like that a lot.
No, but the thing is that I think that Windows idea of Windows Recall is completely insane.
Mm-hmm.
But at least the implementation itself, it was done correctly.
Okay.
They went all in. They decided it's going to be all in, and that's it. Okay, people complained a little bit. It got delayed a little bit. It is never going to.
It was yelled at a little bit.
Yes, everybody said that they're going to give up Windows a little bit. But then after that, it was, if nothing else, it was just an honest idea of let's go all in, let's do the thing.
Okay. After.
So, yes.
Now, moving on from the topic of Apple, because we could spend days talking about it. In pro and cons mode, we did a couple of, let's say, more society-related episodes, fake it till you make it, about imposter syndrome, episode about stress and the digital nomads and whatnot. Then we started with a couple of episodes that are related to e-learning platforms, which were done by our colleague from our company as well. And after that, our journey turned a little bit, and I made finally, after I don't know how much time, the Retro PC episode, which was commented on a lot. I had a chance and in more than a few situations to discuss this with our local friends and people and from the industry as well, and I got a whole bunch of messages about this via email and whatnot. After that, and that episode was both live, and I also cut it as an episode. That episode was one of the most popular ones in the whole year, which I'm not surprised about at all. That was actually my point, that there's a lot of stuff in the retro, let's say, gaming and PC and whatnot market that still can be tapped, which leads me to the conclusion that I made in that episode and a couple of others, that we need to do a couple of more, and that's cool. After that, because I did those two episodes on the same day, or same night, as the case may be, I also did an episode about the Sci-Fi RISC-V motherboard.
Yes.
And actually, to their credit, Sci-Fi contacted us directly a couple of months after that, after they got word that A, I wrote some papers about this, and B, we did an episode, and we have a product by them, the P840, I think, the performance version of their motherboard on the way. It's stuck in customs as we speak. So we're going to continue exploring the RISC-V architecture. It seems I'm also completely now infrastructure ISA agnostic. I don't care which one we have, but this is purely for some of the things that I work on the side, and I'm kind of reinventing, having fun from the era of alpha and whatnot, because it's been quite a while since we had any kind of competition on the ISA market, realistically speaking.
I was also going to mention something that we didn't do as an episode, but we are going to. As you probably know, I had a server at the client of mine. I had a server catch fire on me.
Okay.
And it was a unfortunate incident that was basically it was an action fire.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing was that it was a result of a server running 24/7 for 4 and something years, being, I wouldn't say incorrectly, but having a slight defect when it came to the assembly, because the part of the motherboard was rubbing against the case, and what happened is that it got short-circuited through the. There was a part of plastic that was trying to act as an insulator, but it rubbed through this plastic and then short-circuited to the ground. But anyways, the net result was that I lost the server, but I gained a couple of EPIC processors, and I gained a lot of memory that was alive, because the motherboard basically went up in smoke, but everything else was okay. So what I did is I transferred the processor and the memory into desktop motherboards. And net result of all this is not that I have any problems with losing a server, but I have an interesting thing, because right now I have a workstation capable PC that is ATX motherboard that has an EPIC processor on it. So it is something that was not in any way or form intended to be run as a desktop computer. So I'm trying to see what can you do if you happen to have something like this. Because when you are dealing with servers, and this is a tangent, but bear with me. When you're dealing with servers, you are not going to install Windows 11 or Windows 10 on them. The simple reason is usually not that you cannot do this. The simple reason is that when you have something in a server form factor, it is usually too loud and too big to fit into any office. So you're not going to have your workstation run server PC. You can, and people are doing this, you can run some versions of, for example, Xeons on the desktop applications. But this is something that is rarely done, and it's even rarer to see an EPIC processor by AMD run in such an environment. So I was interested to see what can I do with the EPIC when it comes to actually using it as a regular everyday PC. I'm going to do a spoiler. It sucks.
Oh, really?
Yes. The main reason is because you simply cannot use the power that you have at your disposal, because it doesn't make sense to have 64 cores running.
I have a workload that I could use it for, so feel free to give it to me.
Yes, but this is the workload for a server, typical server, probably.
Yeah. No, it's not.
And so,
it's not.
Okay, but anyways, in everyday work, it doesn't make too much sense.
Yeah.
And also, the software support for the server, or for software support for the CPU itself, is basically non-existent when it comes to Windows 11. If you think that Windows 11 is bad, you are going to see how bad it can be when run on a completely unsuitable architecture.
But so it means that me spending, let's say, 500 euros and at least 3 months of my time trying to work out the way in which we can do video conversion for my retro PC might actually be worthwhile for your Ryzen computer as well.
Probably yes.
That's
Probably yes, because we're going to see what is going to happen next. Because what I did is I put 1070 on the Epic. So I actually created a PC that can be used for gaming. And as I said, I must say that, as I said, can be used.
Yeah, very lightly.
It shouldn't be used. It shouldn't be used, but it can be used.
Yeah.
When everything had, after everything that I did to this processor and on this motherboard, simply either you install Linux and pretend that the server itself is just a workstation with a server added on it, or you simply just ignore it and install something that is going to do the virtualization. So either Proxmox or something, because we are in KVM world right now. I'm going to go with probably the Proxmox, and then work on the virtual machines by themselves.
By the way, one other thing that I noticed when I was kind of like scrolling through the videos today in the afternoon, I noticed that this was the year in which not only you did more episodes than we did them together, or me, which is okay. We divide and conquer. If we have something extra to say, somebody does the episode, everything is fine. It's not only that. It's actually, to your credit, by the way, this has nothing to do with me. We did quite a few topics that are related to more, let's say, human and social part of using IT or whatever might be happening there. And we did quite a bunch of these episodes. I just became like fully aware of how many of those. Because, for example, talking about stuff like, I don't know, social platforms and personal identity. Even Recall episode has bits and pieces of that. IT drive, cooling down your IT stress, imposter syndrome that I mentioned and whatnot. We did quite a few of those. And actually, more to the point, Bottom Line Blues, one of the latest episodes that we did actually as well. I'm getting all sorts of private messages on Facebook, mostly from people that I have on the list, that we should do more and more of those. And this is the direction in which you steered us. So much appreciated. That was an excellent idea.
I was thinking about this also because I was trying to understand what is happening. And I think that this is a result of two different things. First, I still have some editorial left over from when we were doing the computer magazines. So I have I would say an urge to deal with things that the general public could be interested in. So I'm trying to offset. I'm always trying to offset a topic that is heavily technical with something that can be understood by general public.
Yep.
And also that can be that makes sense to general public. And the second thing is that you're just basically busy with PhD, so you went completely underground when it comes to dealing with scheduling algorithms and so on and so on. And also, to be completely honest, the few of people actually care about those. So it is much better if I choose a topic right now, because you are, I wouldn't say unable to choose a topic that is generally makes sense.
No, but you're completely correct. I was actually thinking that the second thing you're going to say was I actually, go to social platforms like Twitter, X, whatnot, and listen to what people are saying, whatever the bots might be saying, you ignore, whatnot. But I don't know what you're talking about in terms of PhD. I never tried to insert anything related to PhD into our topics. Just a couple of sentences here and there, nothing more. But
no, you tried.
What you did say basically in the back end, which is true, is that I'm driving much more of the technical content than you are. That's absolutely true.
But the thing is that
without necessarily regarding this this social aspect of it, that would be correct to say.
I'm going to always go, I would say, light on the technical content, because simply I don't think that heavily technical topics make too much sense for the people that we are dealing with, because we are trying to do separate things. We are trying to educate people on different topics, but also we are trying to make them approachable. And being too heavy into technology, being too heavy into security, it's not something that people want to see. They want things explained to them in a way that is not condescending, but also at the same time is makes sense to be understandable.
Yep.
The problem that we have right now is that people are either treating their own audience as, I would say, simpletons, but probably I mean this. So just teaching it from ex cathedra, from above, and trying to explain to people things like, you don't understand, but this is important, which is completely wrong from my perspective. Or they are trying to explain things in such a way that the point is lost. They are just creating a narrative where everything is so watered down that you don't understand what they're trying to say.
Okay.
Or the point of what they're trying to say is lost. So I'm trying to avoid all those things at the same time.
Yeah. Keep on doing it, because again, just like there are things that there are actually multiple things in which we are trying to help each other, not only in the episodes but in work as well. Some things you're better at, some things I'm better at. It just works. So just continue with the push to social and lighter, technically, let's say, challenged or whatever presented episodes. That's perfectly fine with me. But I also noticed as we were doing these series of videos, Intel, ARM, 6502, we did a couple of episodes for Proxmox lately as well, which are actually very well received as well. And some of the messages that I got on Facebook and also via email, there are people who want more. So we should probably work on that, but it doesn't have to be overnight or tomorrow. So we can continue exploring that as you go along in your Proxmox journey.
I think that this is something that we should split from our main timeline of episodes. And I was thinking about trying to create, I wouldn't say a separate channel, but a separate playlist that would probably cover those things that are more hands-on experience with different things.
Yeah, that's easily doable.
Because both you and me are doing a lot of actual hands-on installation, configuration, everything else. But unfortunately, both you and me cannot share the actual installation that we are doing. So when I have the time to just spend some time experimenting and trying new things, for example, when I was playing with the Ceph, this was also a time when I said, okay, maybe I should do something and try to create some content that makes sense for people who never tried it. Because the main reason being, people sometimes think that things are simple. So people sometimes get confused when they see, okay, you can install something and this is going to be simple, and then they understand suddenly when they try to do it that it's not only it's not simple, it's extremely complicated. But on the other side, I see sometimes that people think that something is complicated because nobody has explained it to them, and also when they try it, they understand that there is nothing else to it. You just need to try it, and then you need to play with it a little bit, but trying it is extremely simple. I'm going to go on another tangent today. I had this problem with Microsoft Word because both you and I were using Word from
version 0.
From version 1 on DOS, probably. Yeah, but it's not version 1 on DOS, but probably version 2 on DOS. And we went through all the different WinWords, words for Windows, words for DOS, and then WinWords, and then Windows Word, Microsoft Word, Office Word, whatever. The thing is that probably, I would say 15 years ago, I was doing something. I was writing some paper on something while I was in the publishing industry, and I had an idea that I have never tried learning the complexities of Word. I was using it at that particular point in time for, I don't know, 15 years or 20 years. And what then happened is that I said, okay, I'm going to grab a book that is trying to cover everything that is word related to see how much am I missing, and is there something that I need to learn about Word, because I was expecting that since I was just using it without any preparation, that I don't know about more in-depth functionalities of Word. And then I realized that there are no more in-depth functionalities of Word, because Word, when it comes to functionalities, covers a lot of stuff, but it is shallow. You can do a lot of things, but you cannot do them well. Because Word is lacking things that you can do in that direction.
There's actually a good metaphor or an analogy for that in one of the podcasts with Jim Keller. You know who he is. Most people do know the legendary chip designer. Basically, he says that if you took a list of all of the instructions in the all of the applications of the world, 90-something% of those applications use 3 to 5 instructions, and that's that. That's exactly the same with Excel, with Word, whatnot. There are 3 to 5 to maybe 10 operations in those applications that you use, and that are used for 90+% of the time by everybody in the world. Everything else is, something that's used very sparsely or never.
I must say that after learning and after doing this with Word, I'm missing WordPerfect.
Yeah, exactly what I wanted to say next. For a lot of stuff that we do, WordPerfect 5.2 for DOS would make a hell of a lot of sense.
There is when we are discussing this, there is a
Corel version.
No. There is a movement today into trying to implement markup language or Markdown to implement it as something that is going to be used much more when it comes to publishing a technical documentation.
Okay.
Because what they are trying to do is they are trying to do a watered down version of LaTeX.
Okay.
So they are trying to create a language that is easy to use, that is used to describe the layout, that is easy to use, that doesn't have too much in it. So it has basic functions, as you said, probably 7 to 10 functions that make sense, but it's easy to use and it's easy to write down.
Okay.
And it's coherent and it makes consistent layouts.
Which is what they failed to do with HTML and many other things, and
they try to fix it with CSS with I wouldn't even say varying results.
Yeah.
With disastrous results.
Yep.
And the Word itself is basically completely broken when it comes to this.
PDF is broken as well.
But PDF is a separate beast. I wanted to make fun of it because I did a lecture. You don't know this. A couple of weeks ago in the university where we are at, I did a lecture and I was lecturing from a PDF that was basically converted to PowerPoint. And in one lecture room, I had Adobe Reader as a primary reader. In the other room, I had Microsoft Edge as the rendering engine for the PDF. I cannot explain how broken Adobe Reader is when it comes to rendering PDFs. And it's amazing to see that the company that created the file standard is completely unable to create a viewer for this file standard. And not only this, the viewer is not only incapable of actually rendering PDFs correctly, but also it's so annoying with additional questions, upselling, downselling, side selling you different plugins, versions of the application, and so on, that it makes absolutely no sense to use it. So it's not that PDF itself is so broken. The company is broken also.
Yeah, that also deserves an episode that we could do.
Yes.
There's a lot of stuff that can be said there. Okay, we are coming slowly to the end, both of the, let's say, review of all of the episodes and the episode. There's one episode that stood out to me in the past couple of months that I wanted to discuss before mentioning 3 or 4 more, which we did. I think you're going to reminisce about them in a very positive way. The episode that I wanted to mention was a couple of months ago. We did an episode about old technology like satellites versus ground tech, stuff like that, which was your suggestion.
Yes.
I liked that episode a lot. I enjoyed doing it. I enjoyed reading about it after the episode. I basically brushed up a little bit on my skills related to the topics which we covered there, just to kind of like get back into the game, because that's broadly the topic in which I did my what's it called, the thesis after the 5 years of college. That's where I was, in satellite communication. Always interesting, especially with Starlinks of the world and whatnot. It seemed like a reasonable thing to do. But more to the point, that was a very good discussion to have. There might be other topics in that area that we could cover, which are related both to people and technology, which are interesting to discuss.
Yes, the thing is that when I was thinking about this satellite ground technology and so on, was me trying to put into words the idea that I still have, and this is that we are trying to solve complex problems with overly complicated solutions.
Yes.
And it's not only about the communications. Communications are just one of the things that are becoming more and more of a problem. Simply because everybody right now is so reliant on communications that they are even more important than actually having electricity.
Mm-hmm.
There was right now a couple of days ago. It was a couple of days ago. If you saw there was a power outage in somewhere, I think it was on Nuuk or somewhere. So somewhere deep in the
Mm-hmm.
so far north. So minus 27 degrees Celsius,
Mm-hmm.
harsh weather and so on. But the thing is that when people were talking about this, the thing is that it's not that those parts of that are going to have a problem with heating.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's talking about heating.
Mm-hmm.
But people there were talking about not being able to communicate,
Mm-hmm.
not being able to use banking,
Mm-hmm.
not being able to use online transactions, not being able to use online services at all, and so on. So the thing that you would think bothers people, so the cold, something that should be a primary concern to everybody who is alive,
Mm-hmm.
is not a primary concern for the people who are actually there,
Mm-hmm.
because they know how to make themselves warm,
Mm-hmm.
but they cannot solve the problem with the communications.
Yeah.
The communications themselves are not solve a problem because you cannot have a secondary communication strategy if you don't have any.
Yeah. Agreed.
And nobody has those.
Yeah. So
this is an interesting thing, and this thing is actually, as I said, makes sense from the perspective of somebody who actually was thinking about this. But anyway,
yeah, we could definitely do an episode about this. A very good topic.
Yes, the only thing that I want to just mention, because I had an extremely funny experience a couple of days ago, was the episode about shopping problems with online services.
Weirdly enough, so it's not a big secret that we use YouTube promotions to promote our videos. I don't use them a lot, and I actually am slowly but surely weeding the algorithm off of our money for promotions, because it's been 2 years and whatnot. A secondary topic. But this was one of the most difficult episodes to market to promote for some reason, because the algorithm kept on rejecting it 20 times over. There's absolutely nothing in that episode that's political, which is what the YouTube algorithm for promotions kept on flagging that for. And as a result, I wouldn't call it as a result, but it's partially a result of that. That episode hasn't received as much attention, which I don't mind. I don't want to force it, and I don't care particularly about it. But it was very, very interesting that that topic was so heavily flagged. For me, it's problematic from different standpoint. Problematic.
But no, but I think that what algorithm is right now aiming for is the general sentiment of the video.
Mm-hmm.
And I must say that this video has a general hatred about it, because we were
ranting endlessly.
Annoyed. Yes, we were ranting endlessly about the different things, and I must say I need to re-mention our local post office, because I don't know if I told you that. But the thing is that I received a package from Amazon that got repacked by the post office. Did I mention this?
Yes, but tell the story.
Let me reiterate the things that happened. So I ordered some sort of a stand. It was a tablet stand for the table, and the reason why I mentioned that it is a stand, because it was made out of metal, and it was basically metal rods. So it is heavy, it is dense, and it has a few moving parts. So there's just 3 rods in separate cardboard boxes inside one big box, and they obviously dropped it, and the package broke. Okay, this shouldn't happen, but we all know that it happens regularly. So what the post office did is that they grabbed a completely random package from the floor of the sorting office, stuffed it inside my package, and then packaged everything with the packing tape. The packing tape was from a third-party provider. I don't honestly know why this tape was used. I'm not going to mention names, but I wouldn't expect that they had another company's packing tape on the sorting facility floor for no reason. So this is a separate topic. So what ended up happening is that I got a package for a completely unrelated person who lives 300 kilometers from my place inside my package. Then I got my postman here, and I showed him the package, and I said, okay, can you explain to me this? And he said, no, just give me this. I'm going to return it to the sorting office. They're going to sort it out. So everybody is completely on board with a random package being randomly delivered to a random person without anybody thinking about it for a second time.
And from a random second person.
Yes. Also, I have an incoming package from, I think it's Netherlands. And the guy was asking me, should he send it through the regular post office or through, I think it was UPS. And I said, please, for the sake of it, please do not use the post office. No way. It's going to get lost. Right now, it's going to get lost. Sure. Even before you send it.
Yes, it's lost, pre-lost. How to pre-lose a package?
Yes, they have a separate service called pre-losing the package.
Yes, and they charge for it as well.
Yes, so on that bombshell, I think that we should finish.
No, let me mention a couple of other things and then finish.
Yes.
The episode that we did with people this year, or actually, it's already last year. We did 1 or 2 episodes related to security with our favorite security expert that lives and breathes academic education with us and is in the same office space as we are. And we did 3 episodes with our students. One of them is already our assistant. The second one is on the way to becoming one. And actually, on New Year's Eve, her first Scopus Q1 paper, basically one of the highest indexed paper indexing databases, has been published. So she was very proud of that. We should definitely do more episodes related to security because they are very popular and explained in our way that you described earlier. And we should bring on some more either former or current students, and we should bring some people generally, as we discussed in the previous episode. We don't have to revisit that.
Yes, we need to talk about talk with a lot more people. Simply because people like people talking about people.
Okay, that's it.
But it's a social thing. So we should be doing something like this. Also, we need to do a lot more focused episodes.
Okay.
So I think that what I'm going to push for in the next year is going to be episodes that are covering a completely focused topic, because what needs to happen is that we need to do, as we mentioned in the previous episode, people actually like to see a specific topic, not a general talk about the topics.
Okay.
So this is something that we should be doing a lot. But then again, a whole new year is in front of us, almost
Ahead of us.
Yes. So what we need to do is we need to simply keep pushing an episode a week, if not more. And we have our own things. I expect that you are going to be having a big announcement a couple of months from now, so 4 or 5 episodes from now. You're going to get a license plate for your car.
No.
I already. Yes, you are.
No.
But you don't know yet.
What, Cosmo Kramer S-Man or something worse than that?
No. It's just a thing. But anyways, we are going to leave this at that.
Okay.
Thank you for being with us.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to us for the last 2 years, our rambling about different IT topics. And let's say that we are going to do it for the next foreseeable future.
Yes. Okay. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Okay, bye.